So hello everyone, this is the first official F-Stop Hangout. To the viewers, my name is Sid and I'm the F-Stop marketing team leader and Staff Pro team admin. We have an amazing group of photographers with us today from the States and across the pond. In no particular order, Charles Glatzer, Jon Cornforth, Paul Hassel is not with us today, Sean Bagshaw, Brian Rueb, Jim Patterson, Burrard-Lucas, and David Cobb. So to start off, we're going to do a little image share. So Burrard, let's talk about what projects you got, and if you want, share an image and put it on screen share.
Okay, let me get that one. I'll send you a link as well. Okay. Start share selected window. There you go. Can you see that?
Yep.
So this is my latest project. It's the thing that's been keeping me busy for the last month, really, is releasing the results of this. So it's the Beetle Cam project, and basically I got a remote control buggy, stuck my camera on top, and drove it up to lions in the Masai Mara. So this is one of my favourite photos, but I've got a whole load of cool shots of males and cubs and lionesses and things. So yeah, thought I'd share that with you.
What you used to shoot it? I know it was on the Beetle Cam.
I had two Beetle Cams. One was a armoured version with a Canon 550D. I think you guys call it something different in the States, but it's one of the small ones, like a Rebel or something. And then this was actually shot on a Canon 1DS Mark III, so that was on a bigger Beetle Cam.
How do you get the Beetle Cam to work? Kind of explain, I guess, the Beetle Cam. Yeah,
so it's a remote control buggy. It's sort of built on robot parts, so yeah. Well, this one had 6 wheels and big batteries, big wheels, and yeah, I had a tilt mechanism on it, so I could move the camera up and down, and a GoPro sending back a live video feed and things. So it was took a fair bit of experimenting to get it working.
I know the Beetle Cam has actually gotten quite a bit of press. You know, you were actually on the front page of Engadget for a minute.
Yeah, it did pretty well.
Very impressive. Very cool.
Yeah.
So how many shots did you take to get this one shot?
Well, so I was there for 2 weeks, and I probably took, obviously, it's pretty hard to judge composition and things, and you end up with grass in front of the camera the whole time and stuff like that. So you have to take quite a few to get some sharp ones. So over the 2 weeks, must have taken, I don't know, 7, 8, 9,000 photos, and we probably got a couple of, well, maybe 100, 150 sort of different good shots that we're happy with. So pretty good, actually. We're fairly happy with
that. Does everyone else know about the Beetle Cam, and has everyone else seen the kind of the video of the Beetle Cam and how it all works? And
I've seen a little bit of it. It's pretty amazing.
Yeah, I checked out Will's website. It's very, very cool.
I saw it too. I loved it. Thanks, guys.
All right, let's see. Who's next?
Hi there.
Show and tell.
All right. Yeah, Jon Cornforth here. Let me click on a picture here. I've been out and about quite a bit this winter. Spent a lot of time out in Hawaii. And one of the things that I kind of become enamored with out in Hawaii is there's this guy, Clark Little, who's become really well known for photographing breaking waves against the shoreline, and I certainly am not that experienced of a surfer and don't live out in Hawaii, but I really had a great time, spending several days over a couple of different months in the water trying to photograph these breaking shore waves. And when for wildlife photographers and stuff, we talk about shooting thousands of pictures to get that one photo, and with this breaking wave stuff, I mean, you're shooting thousands and tens of thousands of pictures even to get like one. And probably my biggest limitation right now, this is the best shore break that I got of like inside the tube. And you're actually looking at like a tube that's only, I don't know, maybe this thing's like 4 to 6 feet in diameter as it's peeling over and breaking. And then I'm actually standing in like, chest deep water to when the wave comes in. Sometimes the water will suck down to like below my knees as the wave kicks up over my head. But the biggest limitation I got is I'm only using a Canon 5D Mark II to photograph this stuff with my Aquatech underwater surf housing. And that 5D, it only fires a maximum of 4 frames per second. And when you look at these waves breaking, I'm very interested in like the new 1DX that's coming out from Canon because it fires at 12 frames a second. And that's really what you need to be able to capture like these moments that happen. I've got so many pictures of waves where the wave started to curl and then it already happened. And so you're talking about like, you know, a quarter of a second as this is going on. So, but, you know, heck, it's a hell of a lot of fun just bobbing in the water with surfers for, you know, 3, 4, 5 hours in nice weather. So really enjoyed doing that.
Yeah, it's a cool shot.
Yeah. So this picture was photographed on Kua Bay on the Big Island of Hawaii just last month. So,
what kind of settings and focus are you using on that, John? I mean, you got to just kind of set the focus, I guess.
You know, that's a good question because I originally was trying to do this back in December with my Canon 17 to 40 zoom, and the 17 millimeter setting is not wide enough. It's barely wide enough. So I borrowed a 14 millimeter Canon lens from a friend, and then you're just doing hyperfocal focusing.
Yeah.
So you've got the autofocus off, you preset it, you're trying to get from 1 foot to, you know, infinity at like f/16. And then, you know, one thing I'll be interested in with that new, the 5D Mark III or the 1DX is if they've got better ISO, at higher ISO. Because this picture I had to shoot at 800 ISO at f/16. And it's a bit noisier than I would like. So, you know, if I could get a camera that's shooting 6 or 10 frames a second at ISO 800 or 1200 at f/16, I think that I'll really improve on those pictures. So,
yeah, I later on in this little show here, there will be a good camera showdown, and we'll discuss that. There's actually a camera that's out there that a lot of people haven't considered, and I know there's a staff pro on our team that uses that for this type of photography, and I'll share that later. So, having said that, very cool. Charles, do we have audio?
Still don't think we have audio on Charles.
Or Charles. Just wave, Charles. Wave, there you go. Yeah.
All right. So, Jim, your turn.
All right. Can you hear me?
I could read that.
Can you hear me?
We can hear you.
Yeah.
Okay, good. So, yeah, I mentioned earlier that I'm from Santa Cruz, California. And as far as upcoming projects, I'm always teaching, you know, a workshop maybe just once a month, maybe twice a month. In the local areas, and I actually scored a permit to the Wave down in Arizona. So it's a lottery system where you have to enter to get, you know, permits to it, and I plan on going there in June. It's probably my only real close travel plans that are coming up. As far as recent news, let me see if I can do the screen share thing here without botching it up too horribly. And let me know if you see a picture or not. Can you see that?
Nope.
No, we're still seeing you.
Still seeing me? All right.
Not a bad picture, though.
So what was the technique for screen sharing?
You just press the screen share button, and you should be able to select the window.
Up the upper left there?
Yeah.
Yeah, I see the screen share, and I click desktop, and it says share selected window.
There you go. We're looking at us now.
Well, now you're sharing the whole screen.
But can you see that now?
Oh, there we go.
Yeah.
There we go.
Okay, so that's basically, this is an image. Do you see a black and white kelp forest shot with an anemone?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I do.
Excellent. Okay, yeah, this is a shot that I was proud that I actually, well, not that I had much to do with the judging, but it won me a free trip to Indonesia for about 10 days.
Awesome.
So that's my big underwater news, is that in the next year I'll probably be making some big travel plans to Indonesia and spending some time in tropical waters, unlike the kelp forest that was taken down in my neck of the woods in Carmel. But yeah, so I'm looking forward to that. I haven't been doing as much diving the last few years. Been doing a lot more landscape photography. But just goes to show, I kind of entered this contest on a whim and pulled out an old image from 2008, and it got a second place and a free trip to Indonesia, so I'm pretty stoked about that.
Was this a digital or a film image, Jim?
This is a digital. This was taken back with a Nikon D200, which is a 10 megapixel camera from the, I think, 2005, 2006 era. And then obviously converted to black and white in post-processing.
Pretty.
But yeah, the original is pretty true to scene in terms of color, but I did obviously do some selective dodging and burning to really accentuate the light on the anemone, darkened the lower background a bit, but the upper half is pretty much a straight conversion from black and white. So, but yeah, it actually got pretty far in the Veolia's Wildlife Photographer of the Year contest last year.
Oh, cool.
But it got to the kind of their finalist stage, but it didn't wind up winning anything. So sometimes I'll take, if judges in one contest like it, then maybe judges in some other contest might like it as well. I don't know what other people's experience is with photo contests, but they can be all over the place.
So how'd you find the shot?
Well, it's from Carmel, which is about an hour south of where I live, and that is where I do most of my scuba diving. So I've dove that site dozens of times, and I use a kayak most of the time. I've got a sit-on-top plastic kayak, load all my camera gear and scuba gear on it, and paddle out to the dive site, tie off to some kelp, go down, and do my dive. So
You paddle in dry or wet?
I have a dry suit.
Okay.
Yeah.
How deep?
That shot was probably around 60 feet.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, the light tends to be better shallower, and your air lasts longer when you're shallow. So definitely for photography, 30 to 80 feet maybe is kind of the primo zone in where I live to get good photographs.
All right. So, Charles, your audio. Any luck?
Maybe he doesn't have a built-in mic in his laptop.
Maybe. I guess that's a possibility.
Well, remember, Sin, when you and I first Skyped, there was no audio on one of our ends. I don't remember what the cause was.
Yeah, that's a good question.
Does he have the on button clicked in the upper right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe if you have some headphones with a microphone in, you could try plugging that in or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, hopefully Charles will figure it out soon. So let's go on to the next person. Brian, you're up.
All right, let's see if I can figure this out. If you hear a bunch of screaming, I have dogs fighting, and I have kids fighting, and I've got the whole gamut going on here. All right, so you can see that?
Yeah.
Yep. Okay. What I've been working on is, in addition, I've been teaching workshops every single weekend, it seems, except for this one. And then I've also been finishing up a book project that I'm on Iceland that I've been there for two past summers, last summer and the summer before that. The summer before that I was there for about 3 months, and this past summer I was there for about 2.5 weeks, and then I'm going back again and be back again this June, and then I'll be back again the following summer. And then I'm going to start compiling images from that. And I wrote a big, long tale about photographing the country the first time. And so I'm in the process now. The whole rough draft is finished being written, and it's about 300 pages. Now I'm going back through and kind of rewriting some of the parts a little bit. And then I'll be assembling that at some point in the next few months to start putting out there in one way or the other. So and other than that, it's been crappy weather, so I haven't been out to do any real personal shooting. I leave on Thursday for Grand Canyon and Arches for a week. And so I'll be down there teaching 2 classes, and I might get to finally shoot a little bit, but we'll see.
I'm very familiar with the shot. Is it in the Weekend Life, wasn't it?
Yeah. I think I did in that. It's been in a lot of different places. I shot it with waders. Like I've got.
So you're in the water.
Yeah, waist deep.
Aiden, are you gonna play another song?
And there was a lot of other photographers here, but like they were way up high on a red. Hold on. Shut up.
Did we just hear Charles?
No. Like my kids have audio apparently. But I sponsor a company called Frog Tops, and they make these really cool portable backpacking waders that I can fold up and put in the back of my f-stop bag and shove it in there, so I can just pull those out, put them on, and then walk out into the water. And so I was able to get closer to the ice in the front, whereas everybody else had to shoot from farther up above.
You got the better shot.
That's pretty cool, Brad. I'd love to check out those waders. You should send me a link.
I'll definitely do that. Yeah.
Yeah, cool, like big, heavy rubber ones that are weigh like 20 pounds.
Those are awesome, and these ones are, I don't know if they make them anymore, but they weigh about just barely over a pound, and they fold up to the size of a small shopping bag. And
wow.
Like, when I went to Iceland for the first 3-month period, I carried them with me the whole time, and it was nice. And if I knew there was a spot where I wouldn't have any water to wade through, I could hide them under a bush, and then I could come get them on my way back, so I didn't have to carry them if I didn't want them.
Nice. Well, what did you shoot it with?
5D, regular old school 5D, and then a grad filter and a polarizer.
Pretty.
The thing though is like, and I'm sure John saw a lot of ice too. Like ice moves, like it's all tidal, so you have to really crank out. You have to, and that's the thing that I learned. Like the first couple times I was shooting, like everything's moving, and like so you have to really bump the ice up a little bit and shoot a faster shutter speed, or else everything's moving.
Oh, nice. Good to know. I didn't know that, actually.
You learn it when you get home and all your pictures are all moving icebergs.
Sin, you don't have any icebergs in St. Louis?
No, we don't even have any mountains over here, so it's not a paradise for landscape photographers by any means. So, Charles, do you have audio? I saw the headset on. Any look? Oh, goodness.
Somebody's got to bring it.
You could do the little thing with the 3x5 cards, like the bullion videos.
Yeah.
Maybe.
We gotta get your IT guy in your house.
Maybe Charles could put up his image, and then we could
review it for him
voiceover later.
Yeah,
let's do it. All right, Charles, what do you have to share?
Sin, you could get him on the phone and be his translator.
There we go. Screen share
Snow
button.
monkeys in Nagano, yeah?
Only thing is that, so we have to put on full screen here, so whoever's recording, click on his window.
Yep, I got it.
Gotcha, alright.
You know, none of you have probably been to Art Wolf's Christmas parties, but when everybody gets to share photos at his house, and then if somebody doesn't speak up quick enough, Art will start like making all kinds of stuff up. So this is great. We should have invited him into this.
Good opportunity. It looks like...
Hey, Charles, you can type in the chat window if you want to say stuff, and then we can...
You know, I believe that Charles was just in Japan. I don't know if he's been there on other trips, but I think he photographed this just in the last month. So,
okay.
And I think he was over there with what's his name, Arthur Morrison.
Mm-hmm.
They were leading a photo tour in Japan. So,
oh, it's a beautiful shot. The eyes are amazing.
Yeah,
I agree.
like the misty look. Really nice.
have you been there, Will?
Yeah, I was there maybe 5 years ago, so quite a while ago. Really,
So why
it's
don't you
really
give
cool.
us some audio, huh? What was your experience like there, Will?
When you're actually there, it's quite a contrived place. Like they've done a sort of lot of fake landscaping almost, and they feed the monkeys with nuts. So the experience itself isn't great, but then when you're there taking these photos with the sort of the steam rising off the hot water, it's so photogenic, and the monkeys always perform well. So yeah, you can get some really cool shots.
Yeah, that's pretty.
I see Charles typing here. So
I see that too. And actually, I'm going to probably be going here for the first time myself next February, March. I'm going to be co-leading a photo tour with Jeremy Woodhouse from Texas.
Yeah, cool.
Jeremy's got a lot of experience.
Yeah, that'd be a good time to go. There should still be like snow around, so you can get them. Yeah. Yeah,
that's what he said. Usually, like the end of February, beginning of March, and.
Yeah, and then you're going out to Hokkaido as well for the cranes.
Yeah. So Jeremy's led this this photo tour numerous times before, and he invited me to co-lead it with him. And it's going to be like a 12, 14-day trip. It begins with the snow monkeys, and then it goes up to Hokkaido, photographs all the eagles, the sea eagles, the other animals, the cranes. And like I said, I think that's pretty much exactly what Charles was just doing with Arthur Morris. So. Yeah. Since Charles is still typing, but boy, he's typing a lot if it hasn't popped up yet. Maybe he should just hit return and then continue typing. As entered text.
Yeah, I see it toggling between typing and entered, and nothing shows up.
There we go. There we go. All right. Anybody would like to read that?
You go ahead, Sing.
All right. So Charles is on the road for 9 weeks, 3 of which were in Japan. This was his 3rd trip. Jeremy was there as well, so there's a common foe. Looks like he's going back in 2014, and actually...
He was with an STL, but not Arthur Morris. Okay.
I'm sorry, whenever I see STL, I think of St. Louis. So.
I totally understand that.
Artie was there after me. All right. Anyways, beautiful shot. The eyes, the composition, everything, the mist.
Absolutely.
Yeah, beautiful. All right, so now we got the Photo Cascadia members here. So, Sean, you're up.
All right. Hi, thanks. Yeah, I'm Sean Bagshaw. I'm in Ashland, Oregon, which is on the south end of Ashland. South side of Oregon, near the California border. And I do a lot of landscape and nature and travel photography. And David Cobb and I actually do a lot of work together. We travel together, and we also do a lot of workshops. So David does a lot more workshops than I do, but I come along on some of David's workshops and explore with him. And just getting out around mostly the western United States as much as possible. The winter time is not my main time for photography, so anytime I can get a nice landscape photograph in the winter, I'm always excited by that. I was out leading or guiding a couple of guys from Australia in February, and they just wanted to have the experience of photographing mountains and snow. They don't get a lot of that in Sydney, so they came up to the Pacific Northwest and hired me for a week to just kind of take them around. We're going to go photograph Crater Lake this particular morning, and had left Bend, Oregon, and we're driving towards Crater Lake. And the further we went, the stormier the weather got. And at one point I said, hey guys, it's just going to be a complete whiteout up at Crater Lake. We should think about going somewhere else. So we turned around and started driving the opposite direction back towards Smith Rock State Park, and didn't know if we could make it there by sunrise or not, but we were cruising as fast as we could, and we pulled into the Smith Rock right as the sunrise was happening. So it's totally storming to the south of us, but turning around, we ended up in this perfect little weather window, and ended up just being, I've photographed, because it's close to where I live, I've photographed the Smith Rock probably dozens of times in the last decade or so. But the combination of this little dusting of snow and this really amazing warm light, the rocks are really glowing, and then this sunrise sky. So it's just pure luck that we made it there in time and that we turned around when we did. But it ended up being, one of the better photo sessions I've ever had at this particular location. So yeah, it was fun. It was a great experience.
Beautiful stuff. I actually got disconnected for a second. What did you shoot it with?
So I just took this in last month in February. I'm shooting with a Canon 5D Mark II the last couple years. And this is, I think, just kind of my middle range lens, which is the Canon 24-105. You're standing up on the rim of the canyon there, so nothing too extreme in the foreground to need a super wide lens, but taking in the landscape and the curve of the river. Yeah, normally the road down there is a kind of a distraction in the photos, but with the snow, I really like the kind of the little white S-curve line it created.
Definitely. Good stuff. Thanks for sharing.
Yeah.
Hey, do you do any rock climbing, Sean? Did you ever
I
climb Smith Rock?
I did a lot of rock climbing for about 20 years, starting in college, and yeah, we used to from Ashland. We used to drive over to Smith Rock probably a weekend every month and go climbing there. Yeah, so I bummed around Smith Rock for a lot of years before I ever photographed it. So I've checked it all. You probably climbed there too, John?
Yeah, back in the 90s, weekend trips like you're talking about from Seattle, that 6-7 hour drive.
Yeah, I'm sure we were probably there at the same time more than once.
Probably. Only thing is I wasn't probably climbing anything and you were.
Oh, well.
I was never much of a sport climber, so I was kind of more into the sun down there than the actual rock routes. But
right on. Yeah,
I wasn't a very good sport climber either. So
yeah, me not so much either.
Yeah.
Cool.
All right. Well, thanks for that. Let's go back to Charles here. Has he got some audio?
Oh, it's painful. Oh no! Can he hear us?
Yeah, he can hear us.
Oh, that's painful. Yeah, poor guy.
Yeah.
Yeah. I wonder if there's some internal microphone muting that's on his computer somewhere.
That's what I'm
He's
thinking.
writing that in
Somewhere in the settings, the microphone's just turned off.
Are you on a Mac or a PC there, Charles? Not that I can.
He said a Mac.
You might want to hit his volume button in the upper right-hand corner of his Mac keyboard.
Yeah, if he's on a Mac, I wonder if there's like an internal. Where's the audio at? Sound.
It's the second button in the upper right-hand corner. Second to the left.
Huh?
No.
No.
If you have Skype on your... Charles, if you have Skype, you can try calling one of us, and then you'll see if it's the Google Hangout that's the problem or if it's your computer. I can't lip read.
You know what? Tell Charles to click on that doggy face so he's got the devil horns over his head. Yeah. So where do we have to go to? To Dave here as well?
David.
Yes. Okay. I learned my photography through my long-distance hiking, I guess, walking across the country a couple of times. But now I'm doing Japanese gardens was my big project for the last year. I met up with Jon Cornforth there when I was in Seattle last year. Had some coffee with him, and I was photographing the Seattle Japanese garden. And I've got a book coming out in the spring next year on Japanese gardens of North America. And I've got a show currently in Washington, D.C. at the U.S. Botanic Garden. And also my portfolio is hanging at the Royal Botanic Garden in London as part of the International Garden Photographer of the Year Winter Circle. And so I've got a Japanese garden shot here that I'll share with you. This is of the Shifuso Garden in Philadelphia. So when I'm not out in the wild in the backcountry photographing, which I do, I photograph a lot of gardens. And with this particular shot, a wave had come through during their flood season last year in the fall and had pretty much destroyed the middle part of the garden. So it was my job to make it look good. And so they asked me to come back, which I did 3 days later. And when I came back, they forgot to let me in. So I had to photograph over the walls. And this, I took a back road and photographed with my Canon 16 to 35 millimeter at first light, as it was with my wide-angle lens to accentuate those branches as that light came up. And it was one of my favorite shots I took that year with all the Japanese gardens that I photographed.
That's really pretty, Dave.
Thank you.
How many Japanese gardens did you photograph last year again, David?
40.
Wow.
So it was 36 states in 6 months. So then I was in St. Louis too. I was photographing the Botanic Garden there. So I landed, I rented my car, a tornado hit and golf ball sized hail destroyed my car, and so I'm dealing with insurance on that one.
Oh. So that must have been this just last summer, right? And
it was last summer. I was in.
I remember that day. It was pretty crazy. It was on Easter, wasn't it?
It was very hot, and hail kind of destroyed that garden a little bit too. But again, it was my job to make it look good.
Dave, were you driving to all these, or did you fly to some of them?
I flew to a lot of them.
Oh, okay.
So, but I'd fly to a quadrant, so I'd do New England, fly there, get 6 or East Coast gardens. The Midwest, I'd fly there, get Minneapolis, Chicago, Rockford, St. Louis. So I try to work on quadrants.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you're ever in St. Louis, you should stop by. Well,
I don't know that I will be for a while, but you know, that it's not the landscape mecca.
We'll let you check out the Phase 1, and you could play with that.
Yeah, I've actually talked to you guys about your new backpacking pack that might be coming out as a test sometime this summer. So I've got a couple of backpacking trips coming into Montana. So
hey, definitely send me an email. Anyways, sorry I got disconnected again. Charles, any?
No.
Killing it.
You get an A for effort, Charles.
Anyway. I still think he should click on the doggy face so that he's got the horns or whatever. Do you see the doggy face above at the top corner left? Click on that. Here, I'll do it for you. Check me out. Isn't that awesome? That's awesome.
Right. So, anybody picked up the new 5D3
right?
yet?
Hey.
Oh.
Nothing?
Hold on. I think
Yes,
I got audio.
me.
1, 2.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're there.
Check, credit card, cash.
Yeah.
Yeah, we got you.
All right.
Oh, you got some good timing there, Charles.
Maybe. All right, save settings. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yes. What was the problem? What did you do?
I spoke to the gremlins in the Mac world. I'm hooked up with it's a Sennheiser headset, and line in goes in there, and there's a sunflower for doing video stuff. So apparently something was clicked the way it shouldn't have been. Appreciate your patience.
All right. So what do you got for us?
What do I got for you? It's been a crazy year. So beginning of the year, let's see, we headed to the Falklands. That's a 3-week trip. I was home for 1 day. Headed to Yellowstone for 3 weeks, home for 2 days. Just got back from Japan. Did a speaking engagement. Had a guy come in from Australia for 4 days of private lessons, and then in April we go to India. So it's crazy. We have about 8 months on the road this year. About 17 trips throughout the world. We lead workshops. So it's busy.
That's good. Good. You want to share another image? Another shot?
Yeah, sure. Talk about a pic. Let's see. Let me pull something up here. Oh. There we go to the Falklands.
I've been there. It's a beautiful place.
Which islands did you visit?
Screen share.
There are 5 different islands. I can't remember.
Yeah, they're all, every one of them is individually owned, so it's pretty cool.
It is.
Yeah, and they're all got their own special thing, haven't they?
Okay, I don't know. Let's see. Listen.
Hey guys, is it relatively easy to get in and out of the Falklands to fly there?
No, there's one flight a week.
That's what I heard. Yeah.
Yeah, if you don't make that flight, you're in trouble.
Yeah.
So here you go. It's a little small, but this is a volunteer point. It's probably one of my favorite places on the globe to go. Last year when we were there, we had a 50-mile-an-hour sandstorm, and I had about 40 penguins come up out of the surf. So everybody else headed back to the car. I put all the rain gear on myself. My cameras laid down and trashed my 70-200 with sand, but it was seriously worth the image. And this we went back in January, and we had 3 groups of penguins. And lucky for me, there was a big sea lion in the water. So what they all ended up doing was coming together to form one big coherent group. And, you know, it's kind of like the wildebeest. They're like, you go first. No, you go first. Yeah. So it's pretty funny. You know, one would go in the water, see the sea lion, say, hell no. So he would kind of back out, and we had these 62 penguins just walking back and forth along the beach, which was fantastic. And I think I shot it with everything from 24 to a 300-8. This was with the 24 to 70.
Beautiful.
Very nice.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. And I spot meter everything. Probably 90% of what I do is manual mode and spot metering. So we just go off the penguin's chest at +2 and make the white, and life becomes simple.
The reflections in the sand are great.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah, it's a wonderful place. We're actually going back a little earlier, typically in January, but this year we're going back in December to try and get some of the smaller Gen 2 and Magellanic chicks.
Well, where can people see your images? Like,
if you go to shoottolight.com, which is our website, there's everything on there about me and some portfolios, recent images, all about the workshops that we lead across the world every year, and speaking engagements, yada, yada.
I also know, sorry about that. I also know most of everyone here is on 500px as well.
Yeah, 500px is extremely beneficial. I've gotten probably more phone calls for image sales and things off that recently, but you do have to be careful because a lot of those images are getting pilfered illegally, and they're ending up all over the web. I mean, everywhere. But, that's the nature of the beast. I guess we assume at this point, in our careers, if we put them up there, they're going to be, placed everywhere. And that's why I think it's important for everybody to make sure that they put, that copyright information, your name, and put your URL in there. If they're going to put them all around the web, hey, free advertising, guys.
I totally agree with you.
Yeah, and then of course everybody crops that bottom corner out. Like,
yeah.
You can't do anything about that.
The word Phil.
Yeah.
Well, what if you do like a complete mask, like a complete mask overlay with that's set to 2 to 4% like opacity, and then you really don't see it unless you're looking for it, and then at least the image is protected. And
yeah,
even if you do crop it out,
it's easy to do. I mean, you could watermark everything, but now you have Snagit, or you just have screen capture, and anything on there is yours. There's no way to hide it. I don't care if you do it in Flash or anything. If you could see it on the monitor, somebody can screen grab it.
Yeah.
So, name of the game.
Yep.
Anyway, so who's picked up a 5D3?
I have.
You have it?
No, it shipped Saturday.
Oh, okay.
So I should have it this week. And I'm really looking forward. It's got the 14-bit, so I'm looking forward to that. I'm also looking forward. It goes up to 25,000 ISO with no noise, and also goes up to about 102 something ISO. So I'm looking forward to that too.
Yeah, that would be helpful.
Yeah, I think no noise is a relevant term, but
yeah, it is. It is.
But yeah, it's supposed to be about 2 stops better. A lot of guys have it already, and when I was in Japan, there were guys shooting with 1DXs and guys next to me shooting with D4s. So they were testing it out there already.
Yep.
What are your impressions, Chaz?
The D4 I think is fantastic. From what I've seen, the autofocus and everything is just mind-blowing. The 1DX coming out, and the word I got from Canon is that it's going to be a game changer for everybody. So no more Mark III debaggles and all that stuff. And the 5D3 has about the same autofocus capabilities, but it has slower processors and less voltage. So it's not exactly the same as the 1DX is going to be. And it just depends whether you need the megapixels or you need the the fast autofocus or frame rate.
I've been saying for years, I mean, apart from that wave stuff I was showing, like breaching whales or flying eagles, all that stuff, 12 frames a second, that's like a big difference. And
Yeah, I shot for 3 years with just 1DS3s, so you're back down to that.
Really slow.
Yeah, so you're back down to that slow frame rate. And, you're trying to pick moments and decisive, actions.
Yeah, I use the 7D for a lot of the wildlife stuff I do, because at least I get 7-8 frames a second out of that. But.
Yeah. Well, now we're using Mark IVs for all the action stuff and 1DS3s for all the wide-angle stuff. For housing.
Yeah, I'm the same.
For me, somebody doing mostly landscapes, things that aren't moving around, and you have lots of time to compose. I know the autofocus sounds great, faster frame rates and stuff are good, but for me it's how clear the image is, the overall image quality and resolution, and then any boost in ISO performance is that's a high priority for me. Not only being able to shoot in low light and more and more the kind of the astrophotography, doing the fixed star field type of photography, being able to do that with less noise is great. But even just being able to, if you're dealing with small apertures and a polarizer, so you've got pretty slow shutter speeds and you've got something moving in the image, a flower or something, to be able to get a little faster shutter speed by working the ISO, that's really valuable. So that's what I'm looking for.
So you're really looking forward to that 5D3?
Yeah, the Mark III is going to be excellent.
I'm sorry, when Sean's talking about the night stuff too, keep in mind anybody trying to photograph like the northern lights the next couple of years, now that we're kind of getting to this point of solar maximum, like, I spent a lot of time photographing the aurora and, 1200, 1600 ISO, and, that's a grainy picture with the 5D Mark II. Be really nice with the new camera.
Yeah, I hope, they're kind of new in the marketplace, and the last couple of days they've just been out, so, all the different word is trickling in from all the different guys who are using it, in the field.
Is anybody saying they're having any issues with it? Is there any problems at this point?
Haven't heard of any.
Good.
Yeah. I'm gonna play devil's advocate. Jim, I know you're a Nikon shooter. What are your thoughts?
My thoughts, it looks like a great camera. I mean, I have no brand loyalty, so to speak. So when I saw that obviously they decided not to really increase resolution, you'd really hope that all the other areas have been improved, and it certainly sounds like they have. The ISO, the frames per second, sounds like the build quality's probably improved a little bit over the last one. But, at the price point, if I were to start out and if I were actually to switch brands, I'd have to give serious consideration to the Mark II, just because you could probably get it for about half the price on the market right now than the 5D Mark III.
Yeah.
So, that being said, I have a D800 on order.
So that's going to be a game changer.
Yeah, I hope so.
Yeah, so talk about the D800. What do you think? Why is that going to change the game?
Well, more and more as my photography's progressed as a business, in fact I'm actually dealing with people and clients that want larger prints, 5 foot wide prints, things like that. And so obviously resolution and better detail in large prints. I think as well, from what I've seen, despite it having triple the pixels of the D700, the ISO is pretty much the same up until about 1600 or 3200. And some people have said it's better than the D700 at 6400, but I'll wait to see about that. I also picked up Nikon's 14 to 24 wide-angle lens, and obviously, this will be my first full-frame camera. So having that 14 millimeters on a full-frame camera with lots of resolution, I look forward to putting that combination to good use. Yeah, that's about it. I don't do much video shooting. Obviously, they've improved that, but I'd like to see myself doing a little bit more photography, videography. It's got a built-in time-lapse mode, which could be fun as an amateur time-lapse photographer, to be able to program in time-lapse and have it output a video file in camera. So just for some quick, fun time-lapse stuff, I look forward to playing around with that feature.
I know Canon is certainly leading the way over the black team with the built-in DSLR video.
Yeah.
They're making a huge push now. Talking to cinematographers and big guys in Hollywood about utilizing the DSLR video capability to do a lot of the movie stuff. So, it's amazing.
Yeah,
I mean, the technology leaps and bounds right now. It blows your mind.
Well, I know that was one of the reasons why the 5D3 has just a slight bump in megapixels to 22. It's one of the main reasons is for video to kind of help solve and resolve some of those issues with Moray. The 22 megapixels is now divisible by 3 for 1920 by 1080, whereas before it was like 2.9 something. So there was some issues with Moray and video.
For that 1 megapixel from 21 to 22?
Yeah. So now it's completely divisible by 3, the 1920 to 1920 by 1080, whereas before it wasn't. So.
Wow.
Yeah.
Just a little bit of the reading that I was doing too is that, not cramming more pixels onto that sensor in the Mark III, but working on redesigning the sensor, redesigning the photo sites, redesigning the high pass filter, really trying to, get as clean and as sharp an image as possible to give an effective, what looks like a boost in resolution, even though you haven't added really a lot more pixels. So I'm hoping that that's the case. If that's true, that'll be awesome. Of course, Canon's going to say that in their documentation.
I know, looking forward to it. Definitely waiting to get it here in the studio to try out.
What do you guys think about the new Canon lenses?
The price?
About it.
Well, yeah, we all have the same thoughts on that.
Yeah.
What do you
I've got
think?
the new 400 2, the 2.8 version 2, which I'm going to use next week, so I'm looking forward to seeing. I mean, I just love the weight reduction, because before you couldn't hand hold it was so heavy, but now it's really easy to hand hold, so that, and also just traveling with it is going to be much easier, so I'm looking forward to using it.
The 300?
And the 400.
Oh, the 400.
2.8, right?
I don't see a major difference in the sharpness. Those lenses were stellar to begin with, but the IS is mind-blowing.
Is it?
I mean, it seriously just locks down. It's 4 stops. I mean, if you check that out, if you're not impressed, then something's wrong.
Yeah, so now you can handhold it easily. You've got the IS, you've got, higher ISO cameras. It's just going to completely open up a whole new sort of scenarios where you can use it.
I bought the new 70 to 200 2.8. And,
yeah, I've got that as well.
I haven't used it quite as much, but I mean, that lens, the old one was like the sharpest thing I had. I mean, that was like amazing. So I haven't seen a big difference there, and I guess I haven't used it enough.
I think it's sharper at some of the smaller apertures. They were both good lenses. They're both good lenses at f2.8 or whatever, but I think, as you stop it down, the new one, I think, is
the new one's sharper at 5.6. That's its sweet spot. So they're tack sharp. And again, the big playing field for a lot of people hand-holding is that IS capability. The 500 now, the new one, if you look at the MTF curves versus the old one, is way above. So the 5 should look like the 3 and the 4, which was not, in order of sharpness, I think with Canon, at least I had found that it's the 400, the 300, the 5, and then the 6. The 600 being the least. And the new 5 and 600s that are coming out are phenomenal. I mean, they are very, very sharp.
Yeah, but
as you guys said, for that price, yeah, they ought to be.
Yeah.
Big bucks.
Well, what's that stop going to be doing? New stuff you want to talk about?
Oh, man. Well, if I could share some secrets here, I guess there's a new monster coming out, probably, I'm actually not sure when it's going to come, but we're going to stiffen it up. I know that was somewhat of an issue with the existing monster. We designed the monster so it has top axis as well as rear axis, so you can have, Charles knows since he has one, so you can have the camera mounted on like a 500 with the hood reversed and pull it out from the top. Or an 800, or any of the big lenses actually.
This is the name of the bag, or
it's the ICU, and we have a crop ton of ICUs coming out too. So that's all I can say right now. And And you know, the Andos that we have that's going to be released here soon, the f-stop trolley, the Lightroom roller, can accommodate up to an extra large ICU. And you know, that's nice if for destination photographers where you're always moving ICUs from, or you can move an ICU from a roller bag to your backpack.
And John, you were a big proponent of looking for that waterproof bag, you know, for all the stuff you do in Alaska. What about just like a square or rectangular duffel that had a waterproof zip on the top? You could pop that ICU in.
One of my friends and partners that I'm working with, Tony Wu, he's a well-known underwater photographer from Japan. Like he was just asking me about this again just this last week, and Colby, that used to work at f-stop like 2 years ago, turned me on to the Patagonia Stormfront bag, and that's what I've been using a lot. And then I take like a large ICU and put that inside of it. And so that we've had that little discussion on the f-stop news board there. And I've thought about like the duffel, which is what Tony was asking me about the other day, putting a duffel, a waterproof duffel with waterproof zippers and like an extra large ICU in it would be pretty good. For those of us that are like moving onto a boat and just like putting the bag down and it can get wet and you can reach in and pull the camera out and shove it back in there. I mean, I think that would be ideal. But then of course you got to carry that thing, or maybe have a shoulder strap just to walk back and forth to the boat. So
yeah, I think it's a good idea.
Tripod fit in there well?
Tripod?
Yeah.
Inside the bag? I usually just keep them out.
Okay.
All my tripods just go right there in the bottom of the boat, salt water and all. So anybody wants a used tripod?
A plane or something.
I'm sorry, Dave?
I was talking about on an airplane.
Oh, yeah.
I got that bag.
I just throw them in my luggage, take the heads off, and I take 2 lens pouches, and I put one on the leg end on the bottom and one on the top. I've already had those crushed, so I just kind of wrap clothes around the tripods, but all that and the heads and everything goes in the check bags. Yeah. And all the cameras, come up on the planes with us.
Yeah, I use towels, and sometimes I'm flying back and forth with like throw rugs that I use on my boat up in Alaska, and I bring them back and forth to wash them, and it's easy to wrap stuff like that in.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's a new color for the rain cover. That's something.
All right.
So for the wildlife, if you got a foliage green bag and you want to stand out so you don't get shot by hunters, that's an alternative to make your bag a safety color. Yeah. So that's one of the thoughts that kind of went into that. So I guess that's about it. Actually, I kind of had a little bit of a question. There's been a big push for mirrorless cameras. Everybody's kind of switching over to not everybody's switching over, but there is going to be it seems like things are evolving and things are changing to kind of that type of configuration where.
Did you plant that guy in my audience in Scottsdale last week? Because I was like, I don't know, like I just used the SLR camera. That's what publishers use. He asked me that exact question. So
things, there's really no actuations now, and less parts. It'll be more reliable, and for example, the Sony A77. Not advertising for Sony, but it uses a translucent mirror. It shoots, I think, 12 frames per second for a camera that costs $1,400.
Yeah, it's in the A57 from Sony is like an $800 camera that does 12 frames a second.
It's insane.
And it's only $800, and it's an SLR, so but it's mirrorless. I guess so. It's not. Yeah.
Well, it's kind of mirrorless. It's weird.
Yeah, it's the translucent thing going on.
It takes a little to get used to kind of looking through the electronic viewfinder.
Yeah.
There was a guy in Japan behind me, and I said, "Are you shooting pictures?" And he said, "Yeah, I just shot 12 of them." You can't even hear it. It's just like really quiet. Sounds like he's not even going off.
Yeah, I know that was one of the big concerns about that with electronic viewfinder. The resolution of the viewfinder is really important, or else it's just going to look pixelated. And you see what you shoot, whereas when you look through, an SLR, you have to pay attention to a lot of things like the metering of light and everything like that.
One of the strange things I found, he let me use the camera for a minute, was that the stabilization is in the body.
Mm-hmm.
So you're looking through the lens and it's still shaking. But when the picture comes up on the back of the LCD, it's tack sharp. It takes a little getting used to.
Yeah, it's different. It's different. But, I guess, I'm just playing devil's advocate and seeing what your thoughts are.
Nikon chips.
So, Sin, do you think, is this something that Canon and Nikon are looking at? Are they going to
convert
over?
In fact, Canon is supposed to, from all the rumors I'm hearing, they're supposed to be releasing a competitor to the Micro Four Thirds, and it's going to be a mirrorless camera. But a lot of people have been saying that these cameras that are coming out, like the D4 and the 1DX, is that this is probably going to be one of the last few generations of the actual, SLR camera, and then everyone's going to start switching to mirrorless.
So you think that Canon's going to start using the Sony chips like Nikon?
No, not that. I mean,
not the sensor, but
they're going to develop their own chips, but they're going to, yeah. And there's a lot of advantages to it. With the Canons, because there's a mirror, the autofocusing, in video, it can't autofocus in video, and the Nikon does it, but it's not as fast. So, and especially with all these manufacturers kind of focusing on that whole cinematography thing, with the dual-purpose camera that can take amazing photos as well as capture video well. I think there's going to be somewhat of a revolution of high-end cameras here.
So what do you think about that red system that could do both?
It's impressive. It's expensive, but
but you can fire off 60 frames a second.
Mm-hmm. And the images that people are getting from it are really good. Of course, the resolution's not there, but the images are pretty good.
Right.
And it shoots in RAW. So
I haven't seen anybody using it exclusively for stills. I've seen a lot of people using it for for video and cinematography.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure.
Yes. So
I'm about 3 years behind everybody technology-wise. So I just got a 7D. So my budget usually is okay, cameras So I'm just kind of I can go these cheaper now. So I'll be thinking 5D Mark III in 3 years probably.
So based on your pictures, it truly is the nut behind the wheel then, and not the equipment.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, that's.
Ryan just brought up something that I don't know if people are aware, but I often buy, once a camera's been out for a little while, I'll buy the refurbished version from Canon. So if you go on the Canon website or you contact a big, B&H or your local camera store, most of them can get a refurb, but you can order them usually directly from the Canon website. And then you get basically a brand new camera, whatever the refurb was, but it comes to you brand new, clean, full warranty, and you save a couple $100 or.
Yeah, that's a good idea, and I'll probably do that. I wanted to get a camera that was going to be able to do, because I'm trying to do some more wildlife stuff, so I wanted to get some of those little faster frames per second. And yeah, I just want a 10 to 20 Tokina, so I'll have a little bit wider angle lens. So.
Yeah, you'll like the 7D. It's a great camera.
Yeah, I just use whatever I have, and I don't really. I'm more about being out and shooting than whatever I have in my bag.
That's the right attitude to have too.
It's the tool in your hand.
I'll break it. That's just because I'll break it. I'll end up breaking it, whatever I have. So I might as well not put too much money into it.
All right, I think that concludes it. So, thank you, everyone. You should do this again.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
Thanks a lot, Sin.
I'll bring more kids and more dogs next time.
All right, perfect.
And Jim, the cats too. I know you got some cats back there.
Yeah. One's hanging out. So.
Hey, I just moved, so I actually, for the first time, don't have dogs or children in my new office. This is really nice, so I can relate.
Okay. So we'll be staying in the studio.